A jury is set to begin deliberations in the fraud trial of Sam Bankman-Fried. The disgraced FTX founder faces the possibility of decades behind bars on 7 federal charges, including fraud and money laundering. The prosecution called Bankman-Fried's actions a, quote, pyramid of deceit. CBS News national correspondent Errol Barnett has been following this trial. He's joining us now with the very latest. Errol, great to see you. We have heard about 2 different Sam Bankman-Frieds in the courtroom. The prosecution painting a picture of a crypto villain, the defense a young entrepreneur in over his head. Walk us through the defense's closing arguments.
Hey there, Meg. Great to see you. You're exactly right. Late yesterday, the jury watched as the defense painted Sam Bankman-Fried, in their words, as a math nerd who simply got in way over his head, but acted the entire time in good faith to make sure that customer funds would be returned in a proper and appropriate way. They said it's the government trying to paint him out to be a villain, and that when Sam Bankman-Fried, before his company collapsed, learned that things were being undone, he made every effort to work with officials in the Bahamas to make things right, and that the co-conspirators, all of which have pleaded guilty to the crimes they've been accused of, are simply acting as if they had no free will in all of this. This morning, the prosecution was able to counter that closing argument and said effectively that Sam Bankman-Fried is a liar and a fraud, and all of the evidence they've showed, plus witness testimony, including Sam Bankman-Fried's own words, proves it. And they said to the jury, what you have to do in this case is simple. You don't have to understand complicated technical crypto or financial terms. You just need to determine that what Sam Bankman-Fried said to the public in his tweets, in his dozens of interviews to the press, was much different than what he did privately and behind the scenes. And if you find that to be the case, you should find him guilty of fraud. One other thing they said, Meg, which really I think is a simple term that landed with the jury, is they said Sam Bankman-Fried sat here and said he didn't have a chief risk officer. He admitted to that. The prosecutor said, of course he wouldn't have a chief risk officer because he was laundering money and committing fraud. You wouldn't. She compared it to someone robbing a jewelry store and then complaining that they didn't have a security guard. She said that's not an excuse, that's an admission of guilt. And if you find that Sam Bankman-Fried lied on this stand and the evidence proves it, you should return a guilty verdict on all counts.
Errol, I feel like you bring us right into the courtroom. I love hearing all the details, how he was described as a math nerd, and then the prosecution's rebuttal that he was a liar and a fraud. Now we're on verdict watch. Do we have any idea how long this could take?
Judge Kaplan instructed the jury this morning that after, all these closing arguments and the rebuttals, he is this afternoon instructing them on the law and how to walk through determinations on each charges. We understand the jury should have this case in their hands by 2 p.m. Eastern. The judge has allowed them to stay in the courtroom as late as 8:15 tonight. He's made comments that there's dinner preparations that have been made for them. He says, I'm not rushing you. There's no reason you have to return a decision by today, but Meg, accommodations have been made for this jury to decide something tonight. So it's possible we could have a verdict today, and I would wonder that if it's fast, if we get a verdict very quickly, it would be quite ominous for the former crypto billionaire.
All right, and Errol, you have covered this trial from the beginning. You have mentioned there have been a lot of fireworks throughout. What testimony do you think will be top of mind for the jury during deliberations?
It's a great question, Meg. I'll tell you this. In answering many of the prosecution's questions, Sam Bankman-Fried would repeatedly say, yep, and nope. And I think that doesn't land well with the jury. In a big federal courthouse, a very official place with billions of dollars of fraud on the line, I think that won't work in his favor. They also made this comparison that they brought up again today. 50 times Sam Bankman-Fried was able to describe the complexities of complex financial and technical terms. The prosecution said 140 times he wasn't able to recall certain events, places, names, or events. They say that's evidence of fraud and the fact that he is a liar. And I think for a jury, which is just deciding one simple thing, guilt or innocence, that may be something that really resonates with them.
All right, fascinating perspective. Errol Barnett, thank you so much. We're looking forward to the verdict.